with public school parents, public school advocates, elected officials, and others who are concerned about the new state law and policy that forces New York City to give space and resources to charter schools. I'm going to hand it right over to Noah Gottbaum, who's going to introduce us to the issue a little bit and let you know why public school parents are so upset about what's going on right now.
Thanks, Tori. We're here today to protest unfair treatment of public school students. Right now, the new bill that came out in Albany a few weeks ago basically gives preference to charter schools. What's happened is the charter school lobby has put pressure on the governor, on the state Senate leadership, and they have passed a bill which is unequivocally anti-public school and very much pro-charter. What's happening is now charter schools, all they have to do is ask for space in our public school buildings, and their grant is requested. We have public schools that have been waiting years for more space. We have 10,000 public school students that are in trailers. Class sizes are the most overcrowded in years, almost 2 decades. Our buildings, half of our buildings are over capacity. And yet, our public school students can't get adequate space and adequate resources. But charters, all they have to do is ask. Is that fair? No! Additionally, the new law states that any charters that are already co-located in our public school buildings have veto rights. They have control over what happens to those buildings. They have more power than community education councils.
That's right.
They have more power than the city council. Charters now have more power than the mayor over what happens in our public school buildings. That is insane. Why is this happening? One reason.
Money.
Money.
That's right.
The charter lobby so successfully put pressure on our state Senate leadership, on the governor, and gave so much in donations that the 97% of kids in our public schools have essentially taken a back seat to 3% in charters. We're not here to bring down charter schools. That's not our intention. Our intention is to make sure that all students get equal and fair funding, fair resources. We're here to ensure that our tax dollars, over $1 billion of which are being spent on charter schools right now, are accountable, and that the charter schools have proper oversight and can't just operate as they want within public school buildings. And we're here to say that our public schools are our lifeblood. And unless the governor, the state Senate, the legislature focuses on putting resources into public schools, we will not move the needle. It's unconscionable that the 97% of the kids in public schools in New York State are taking a back seat. It's wrong. We need to be funding our public schools, focusing there. And that's why we're here today, also making sure that the charter schools are held accountable. We're going into a hearing right after this to ensure accountability, because there is no oversight over that $1 billion that's being spent on charter schools in New York City alone. There is no oversight over 183 charters that operate in New York City. There is no oversight over the co-located charters that educate 70,000 kids but affect 1.1 million kids.
That's right.
We have parents here today who will speak about it, talk about our experiences on the front lines. I want to call up right now Zakia Ansari from the Alliance for Quality Education, Advocacy Director.
Woo! All right.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, we're on the steps of Tweed, fighting for what's right and fighting for public education. My name is Zakia Ansari. I'm the Advocacy Director for the Alliance for Quality Education. But equally as important, I'm a public school parent. I have 8 children, and my son actually attends a charter school. I'm really going to talk about this report that was released today because I think it's at the heart of what the parents behind me and we as AQE, the Coalition for Educational Justice, just in our core believe that accountability matters. After 12 years of Mayor Bloomberg, we've seen what can happen, right? When there is no accountability and there is no oversight. So this recent report that was released today by the Annenberg Institute for School Reform has a great name. It's called Public Accountability for Charter Schools, Common Sense Regulation and Oversight for the Future. Common sense. Common sense. That's something we've been lacking in New York City for a while, and let's hope we're on the right track. In this report, it reveals the new accountability measures lagging behind the rapid growth of charter schools. It divides it into 4 major areas: governance and transparency, equitable access, school climate and facilities. This is about fairness and equity. The goal is to help calm the divisive and polarized debate over public education in New York City. Conversation has divided parents, especially parents of color, in conversation about what's really right for the education of their children, right? In both traditional and charter. To work together, to contribute to equitable educational opportunities, safer communities, less poverty, and a stronger, healthier New York. Isn't that the New York we want to see?
That's right.
Isn't that the New York we want to raise our children in?
That's right.
So I'm going to just go through 4 key recommendations. There's tons of them in here. Common sense recommendations. Let's remember that. 1, reports charters should have to report student enrollment data disaggregated by race, ethnicity, gender, grade, free and reduced price lunch status, disability status, and English proficiency status. Right? Race, No Child Left Behind has our public schools doing that, whether you love it or not. Then why aren't charters are supposed to be doing that? Disclose all financial resources before requesting a space or co-location, including the availability of private funding. The school's use of funds and its relationship with any management company. Schools with significant private resources should be required to make payments in lieu of rent contributions to help balance the resources of the co-located schools. What we hear and we'll hear today from parents is that there is that balance right now as it exists. Add to their disciplinary policies detailed provisions describing under what circumstances the school will use local police in the enforcement of discipline or in response to student behavior. We're tired of our children being handcuffed. Including the application's language of neutrality and non-interference regarding teachers and school employees' right to unionize and to bargain collectively over working conditions. These are just a few key common sense recommendations that we believe as parents, that we hope that legislators believe, and that we want to make sure Albany understands that we expect to happen here in New York City. And I'll end with this. These recommendations will benefit all children and make our school systems work together stronger and fairer. That's been a missing word. Mayor de Blasio and education officials should work to implement these recommendations immediately and ensure that charter schools operate the same rules as traditional district public schools. In the 60th anniversary, as we approach that, of Brown versus Board of Education, we are more separate and unequal than we were then. There's something morally wrong with that, and we believe that this is the opportunity for us to get back on track of ensuring that all, capital A-L-L, all of our children have access to a high quality education, and that accountability starts in New York City. Let's be the leaders of accountability for charters. Let's be the leaders.